Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure mind, watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure mind.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a show in store. Yes, indeed. You won't believe what's happening with Donald Trump. We're going to get right to it, folks. Today, we have new technology pushed out for StreamYard, so I apologize in advance if something seems a little bit off, which I can already imagine it will be, but new from StreamYard, folks. We're already trying to figure it out. So, before we get started, I wanted to mention that we have quite the dilemma when it comes to the finances of people, especially in my local community here in New York. People are definitely sucking wind financially. It's at this time more than ever that people actually reach out to try to navigate a financial situation, or perhaps even to borrow money or just to help to pay a bill. Even when it comes to things such as gas, like what's really happening in our country, right? What's happening? I'm pretty sure you guys see it too. Perhaps you notice people are struggling. Now, on top of all that, we have the government shutdown, and people were already struggling, right? And now they won't get the needed resources that they have become accustomed to receiving every month, right? Like, what's really going on? Today, we're quite privileged to have so many in the audience already. A lot of our leaders. We have Eric. Eric presented a nice article. We're going to get to it today. We have Sharon, JDP. Thank you guys for being here in Bordeaux, holding it down. It's so nice of you guys. But we're going to get to the leading story before we get to Donald Trump. I usually I'm very unbiased, but this story here, it really takes the cake. But first, I'm going to present to you something that Eric had pushed over for us to consider. Let's take a look and see what's happening in regards to the NBA and new charges that are going to be rolling out. Now, we're just going to check out a little bit of this.
Leslie Bakshi's New York Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security, Ricky Patel, Newark Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security, Michael McCarty, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenney, and the Executive Director of the Waterfront Commission, Phoebe Sorrell. I'm now going to turn the podium over to FBI Director Kash Patel.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator.
Okay, guys, so you can already see I'm looking at a whole complete different setup. So we have to try to figure this out.
Of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms where our brave...
Have we ever seen these type of investigations before, folks? I don't believe so. Not to this magnitude. In fact, did you guys hear the rumor? And I want you to keep this rumor in mind as we go through this, is that they're also looking into some of the major morning shows. I'll say, I don't want to say the name. I'll say morning shows for payola, paying just to play, right? So now I'm starting to believe that the FBI might be looking into these particular companies.
The United States Attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors.
And again, thank you, Eric, for sharing this. I really do appreciate it.
To stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Cosa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior.
Well, you know, Donald Trump is the leader of the way when it comes to crypto now, so it'll be quite interesting to see the twist that they have on this. Sunday said, what files? Perhaps we're talking about the Epstein files. Shout out to you. Sharon said, wow. Okay, Deborah's in the building. We're saying your name. Deborah, thank you, Eric, for the guidance there. AI MedSpa says, New York City Italians stay messy. Okay, a lot is happening. It looks like a lot of NBA players are going to be in hot water here. What's really going on? Okay. All right, Gorilla. Thank you very much for being here as well. Thank you guys for all of your participation. Today is quite different. We have a whole new setup, whole new technology that we have to try to get used to here. It's Marge says they do all kinds of things to distract, but we aren't forgetting Epstein victims deserve justice. We're going to go over that next, so stick around. We're going to go over the Epstein files and what's developing hot news today. Leslie says they're stealing from us, the USA. Okay. All right. And again, yes, thank you, Eric.
Be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where guard games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the field.
It looks like they're cooking the coaches as well as the players and whoever else. This is terrifying.
Finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nosella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in two major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports.
The key word there is rigged. It's almost like when you play the 3-cup game here in New York City. I'll never forget the first time I played. They have 3 cups, and you have to choose which one the ball is under. And it's never under any cup, but most people don't know that. It's a rigged game, folks. So I guess that's a big problem with this.
Corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes.
You know, after attending Sean Diddy Combs' trial, I'm shocked that they're not using the word RICO here, right? 30 individuals, organized, it seemed, perhaps.
Used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra. While the cases are separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon.
Well, it would have to be New York, right? My state. And it's tied to the mafia, it seems. Like, what's going on?
The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law.
Okay, thank you for the insight, Eric. Eric says the coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, allegedly. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, DeNiro Laster, Damon Jones.
So, guys, I'm going to get into this further because this is quite an extensive video, but we're going to keep moving here. And again, the layout is a little bit different, but we're going to give it a shot. Would you believe this case here with Donald Trump? What's going on? Trump's claim that the DOJ owes him a lot of money, $230 million payout, right? Have you ever heard of such? What's really happening with this situation? Well, let's get to it and see if we can figure it out. What's happening? Why would the current president of the United States be expecting, allegedly, money from the DOJ, the Department of Justice?
Former California Senator Barbara Boxer, managing editor of The Bulwark, and MSNBC contributor Sam Stein, and back with us, Adam Surer. Senator, so the president he said that he's not confirmed the dollar amount, the $230 million amount. He did say that if he does get a payout, and he said he wasn't personally pursuing it, but if he does get it, that he would. California Senator Barbara Boxer, managing editor of The Bulwark, and MSNBC contributor Sam Stein, and back with us, Adam Surer. Senator, so the president he said that he's not confirmed the dollar amount, the $230 million amount. He did say that if he does get a payout, and he said he wasn't personally pursuing it, but if he does get it, that he would potentially give the money to charity or perhaps to fund that ballroom. But having this be out there and not denying it emphatically and saying, no way, during a government shutdown where 750,000 federal workers are furloughed, 700,000 of them are not getting paid as people are waiting in food lines, pantry lines, as people are not collecting a paycheck but still going to work, like TSA employees and air traffic controllers. As people are worried about their health care, remember the
Okay, Black Ground TV says he's shaking down the government. Okay, our first $20 giveaway today. How many? Let's see who's paying attention. How many are not getting paid that are government workers? Whoever answers first wins, and just email me your Cash App if I don't have it.
subsidies. This is what this is all about. The Democrats want these subsidies extended, and they're worried about their health care premiums without them going up 2 or 3 times at the cost. How does the White House, with a straight face, how does the president with a straight face continue to say these things while all the
Okay, 700,000. Very well. Okay, Black Ground TV, you have to send me over your information, and I will definitely take care of you. We'll put the email address in there. Nasty says, didn't Trump say he was paying? And there goes the comments flying away. Okay, let's go back here. All right. Okay, here we go. It's Marge says, didn't Trump say he's paying for the ballroom? Now suddenly he's using this lawsuit to pay for it. Okay, you have to pay attention, and that's what you're doing. It's Marge. Thank you for catching those details. Trina Clark says, lay off non-essential DEI and CRT employees and defund non-essential government programs, waste, fraud, and abuse. Deep state is collapsing. You cannot tell them that. So, guys, I want to tell you, I'm going to take a quick moment and tell you something. Last night, I went to the city again, right? Because I didn't think that this protest was going to happen. And I did not film because there's a guy there. I want to tell you this. I didn't realize it. I saw this individual. He has a big following. He almost has like 100,000 followers on YouTube alone, but he's definitely MAGA based. And he goes to the protests and he interviews people. Well, recently he was at the White House with the president, and he was telling him things that I had saw, especially when it comes to Antifa. So they were out there on his rear last night, and basically everybody's calling him a troll, but anyone that would pull up their camera, they were putting the screws to them. And would you believe he was attacked twice? So after seeing that, he was attacked in front of the police. The 2 individuals that attacked him, I understand one is an illegal immigrant. So last night it was like super chaos out there. In fact, he came along. He had a guy wearing a Superman outfit with him, and I guess he was the security guard, but he's out there just trolling, and he has a direct connection to Donald Trump. So all of the people that are being filmed, I think, are definitely should be worried, because this individual, he has a strong following, and he has a backing that's probably beyond anything that I've seen. In fact, the crowd was giving him, usually he'd say, send him $5. When I went and looked at his channel on YouTube, you had, let's see, he had 40,000 people in the audience, and they were sending him money, but the audience, they were attacking him. So that's what's happening out there. And so anyone that pulled up their cameras or were trying to record, it was a big issue. So I have to kind of move a little different now that I see all of these things starting to materialize. And actually, we were down by the courthouse right where the Diddy trial was. At one point, we were at the point of Thomas Street. Have you seen the female that I record sometimes? Her name is Barbie. What's her name? Barney. And sometimes she's saying, use the bathroom on me. And a lot of times when Diddy's mother would walk out, she would be very expressive. One time, I believe she had kind of attacked, I use the word attack loosely, Myron, when we were standing there talking. That's the first time I saw her. She rolled up with her camera. She's yelling. But at any rate, these streets are very serious. And I imagine tonight, like around 6 o'clock, but it was tons of people out there on the street. And now they're sensitive to who you are, right? And why are you filming? And definitely, I stuck out as being probably one of 3 out of 1,000 people that's of a darker persuasion. So it's quite interesting. I will continue to cover these type of events, but I just have to rethink it, you know. Existence is very important, but they attacked that guy. And I won't mention his name because I don't want to give him stronger. I don't want to refer people over to him, but yeah, that's what's happening. Donald Trump essentially has people on the ground, and it's something to think about. Let's see if we have any comments real quick before I get back to the video. And guys, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Okay. Deborah says daytime protests all peaceful. Yeah, but at nighttime they are definitely not. They arrested one guy that's definitely going to be deported. Deborah says night is when the antagonists are out. Yes, 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 yes. Sharon says they don't want the truth to get out. Exactly.
The rest of these Americans are suffering.
Katie, you laid out the nightmare that this country is facing with this president. He is living on another planet. He has finally found compassion for one person, himself. He's aggrieved, and he wants $230 million, okay? He's also giving his friend in Argentina.
Can some of you explain in the comment section, right? How is it that the president of the United States should receive $230 million from the Department of Justice? Can someone break down why that would be advantageous and ethical?
Our money also 20 billion, at least maybe 40. And by the way, I checked, they've defaulted on sovereign debt at least 7 or 8 times. And when I was in Argentina years ago, I brought that up with the prime minister. This is a man, he's killing people.
Caddy says illegals need gone. Okay, want the illegals out of here. Lavender's in the building. Thank you, Lavender. Go check out and support her channel, Lavender Smile Hair and Style. It's a great channel. I referred it to the females in my family that were trying to learn how to braid, so they actually subscribe to her channel. They actually show the younger generation, or all women, just how to be more effective in hair care. I think it's, and even doing their own hair. Not that only women wear braids or what have you, but I'm just saying.
You know, in the open seas, he is cutting funds to children with tumors. He is cutting funds for Alzheimer's research. These funds are gone. So we are living through a nightmare. Last point. For years, I was honored to be the co-chair of the Ethics Committee. If a senator, listen to this, if a senator was given $50 at that time, now it's $100, $50 of a gift, they could keep it. $50 plus a penny? No, they couldn't keep it. They had to give it back to the government. This is what he's doing, is getting a gift after his family, their wealth has increased since he's president.
Okay, guys, we have a heartfelt testimonial from Thomas. Says, I don't know, but I know I'm disabled and I ain't getting my food stamps this month, and I'm disabled. I can't work, but they get to eat steaks, all of them, Democrats and Republicans. Sorry that you're going through such a tough time, Thomas. We're so sad to hear that. But you're one of many people that are trying to navigate through what's happening now in the United States. Deborah says, been hearing 2 theme songs. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that today too. I'm hearing the double, but that's a part of this new layout from StreamYard. So just bear with me. We'll have to figure that out.
By $3 billion. If this doesn't bring him down to 30% approval, I'll be surprised.
Also, Sam, why do you think he believes he can get away with it?
Well, why do we believe he can't get away with it? I mean, what has the recent history shown us? He is elected president. He's got no pushback from congressional Republicans, virtually no pushback, I should say. He's had some rebukes on the lower levels of the judiciary, but the Supreme Court has more or less granted basically every power play that he has pursued. In this case, with specifics to the $230 million, the person who would...
Okay, Nadine says, and welcome back, Nadine. Nice to have you back. He was incorrectly charged, and the Dems use this slush fund for the things like this. I think Dems owe him big time. Okay, that's a different point of view. Dobby says, are you looking for a job? Can't work? Why? Okay. Yes, Bordeaux, for some reason it's playing two videos at the same time.
Sign off on it ostensibly is the DOJ ethics official, except for the fact that Pam Bondi, his old lawyer and now current attorney general, fired the ethics official. And so who's going to say no to this? In theory, there would be congressional investigations into something like this, but of course, Republicans run Congress, so they're not going to do that. Frankly, the guardrails are all down, and it's open season for Trump here. He's doing things without any stoppage. Even the destruction of the East Wing of the Capitol is being done without official sign-off from the board that would usually do so, because Trump feels emboldened and he's going to do things. And only in very specific circumstances has he been rebuffed and accepted the fact that he's been rebuffed.
Senator, it feels like if there was ever a message the Democrats could grab onto, it was this one, and especially the image of the East Wing being demolished.
Yes, the East Wing is being demolished, just like our democracy, our budget, our morality, and everything else that goes with it. It is really a metaphor for all of that. And I would say to Sam, he's right in terms of the Republican Party has lost its, I'm trying to find the right word, lost its way. But the people are pushing back. You had 7 million people on the streets. And I might add, there are very important elections about to take place, gubernatorial and some others, where this is going to have an impact. So I feel, as usual, because I am an optimistic person, that's why I stayed in government for 40 years. I think that public sentiment means.
So what do you guys think? Do you think during the midterm elections, you're going to see a lot of this swing back to the Democratic way? Or do you think that perhaps the Republicans are going to take on more ground and have more of a strong, firm standing? JDP says, hey, Eric, okay. All right. Protected Sources says, thank God the Democrats are out of the way. Okay. Apollo 509 says, Trump and private funders are paying for it. Okay. All right. Panda says, depends on if the Supreme Court guts the Voting Rights Act. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you actually hear the video when I play it double? Or is it just the opening song? Tell me what you think. Let me explain to you. When we broadcast, it allows you to either go previous to today. You could stream vertical, like for a cell phone. Or you could stream horizontal, more like a television, more like your typical YouTube video. Today is the first time, at least with StreamYard, they're allowing you to stream in both directions. And I found that out shortly before coming on. So tell me what you're seeing so we could navigate this out. All right. Kip says, no, Mr. Epstein, he is doing what he is allowed to do. But you have to admit it's not as bad as letting 20 million illegal aliens into our country. Okay, and that's what they're saying happened under Joe Biden. Okay, Blackground TV says, not in the numbers we need, but it will be some wins. Okay, all right. JM says, but who attacked Diddy? I want to shake his hand. I don't think necessarily that that's a true story. I don't think it truly happened. I'll tell you. I went to the trial every day, and I picked up a lot about that trial. I don't want to get away from what we're discussing, but I will tell you, during the sentencing, Brian Steele explained how at some point before Diddy came to the sentencing, one of the inmates had pinned him down, I think perhaps while he was sleeping, I don't know, but he tried to shank him, and just lo and behold, a security guard came and was able to get the individual off of Diddy. And I think what you're having maybe this week, especially with talks of the pardon or commuting, right? Maybe somebody's recycling the story. And typically what I see in being a content creator, once you put out a video, right, everybody jumps on the bandwagon and starts elaborating or playing that game of telephone, and the story gets out of control. All right, Panda says we stop attacking Trump when he stops attacking the American people. Okay. Bordeaux says, I don't know, Mel. I hear you in both streams. I quit the other stream and came over in this one so I could see all the comments. I couldn't see all the comments in the other stream. Okay, that's good to know. Let's chat today to try to figure this out. But it's a new process, and with anything new, I just have to navigate it. Okay, Nadine says 1 second though. 1 second thought. I'd rather see the Dems caught for their lies, charged and punished. Okay, all right. Now let's finish this up.
Everything as Abraham Lincoln said. And yes, the backdrop of these elections are going to be, the $3 billion increase in his family's valuation and what he's doing to the people and how incredibly irresponsible and childlike he is.
So, Adam, just to bring us back to what we were talking about a moment ago and the cynical view of what to expect in the future, this ballroom that's being constructed isn't expected to finish until I think close to the end of his term.
Yeah,
but
I just want to be
when
clear
you look at it, wouldn't you think you'd want to enjoy it? That's my question.
I mean, this is theft. That's what this is. The White House does not belong to Donald Trump. The Department of Justice does not belong to Donald Trump. And taxpayer money does not belong to Donald Trump. Taking money from the public coffers and giving it to yourself is called embezzlement. You would be prosecuted for it in any other context. And in a healthy political culture, a president.
Okay, shout out to you, Tahanga. Thanks for being here. Thank you guys for liking, sharing, and thank you guys for subscribing. He says, so the Democrats not getting money. Okay. Garrett says, skip right over the hardball questions. Typical. Okay. What is the hardball question? Perhaps I missed something. I'll be more than happy to stand up to it. Garrett says, first, the biggest mistake you're making is locking MSNBC as anything factual. Well, we cover all different angles of news. That's how we create balance. So it's not just all MSNBC, not all Fox, but we share a little bit of here, there, and everywhere. Garrett says listening. Okay, thank you.
Who stole from the taxpayers would be removed. Now, unfortunately, as Sam hinted at earlier, the Republican Party and the Supreme Court are perfectly willing to be co-conspirators in Donald Trump's attempt to steal from the American people. And as long as that's the case, it will be difficult to hold him accountable. But that doesn't change the fact that what this is theft and corruption, and it's a sign of how deeply endangered American democracy is that it is allowed to continue.
Okay, very good. All right. So what do you guys think about that? It's something to ponder over that the President of the United States would receive from the Department of Justice $230 million. That's something to think about. Everybody wants to know about Epstein, so we're going to get right to Epstein without any further delay. Every day, even though we have all these stories come out, everybody still says, hey, where are the Epstein files, right? What's going to happen? Well, one of Epstein's victims is actually speaking out and trying to get the government to do the right thing. So let's see what this is about.
Out front now is Annie Farmer. She was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, who has testified that she was a teenager when she was recruited and sexually assaulted by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Viewers of our show may remember when we spoke to Annie's sister, Maria, who was also an Epstein victim. I am really grateful, Annie, for you choosing to speak out tonight. I know that Johnson said today that Epstein petition, right, which Grijalva's vote is crucial for, right? Her vote gets that over the finish line. He said it doesn't actually matter. He called it totally superfluous because he says the Oversight Committee is going through documents and they're releasing things like phone logs and calendars. He's right. They are going through documents. These things are being released. But as we pointed out, they are 1 gigabyte versus 300 gigabytes of the full FBI Epstein files that we even know of, which the committee does not have.
Is there anyone in the building that actually thinks that Donald Trump did something nefarious with the Epstein files, or that he's really tied in, other than just being mentioned as an associate of Epstein? Tell us what you think about that. Let me see a lot of comments coming in. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to get to a few of them. Chip, thank you for being here. Says agreed. The grifters are grifting. Why is that the case? Everybody wants to take advantage, right? Lisa Bell says, I think he's making a bomb shelter called the ballroom. That is hilarious. Pandemonium, welcome back again. Nice to have you back. Trump may be immune, but all the people doing crimes under him are going to face justice. Looking at you, Stephen Miller, Pam Bondi. Okay. All right. Thank you. Nice expression. Blackground TV says everything he says is correct. The flunkies Trump appointed will make sure he will get the money. It seems that he's put together a dream team, right? They definitely support him. The first time around, there were people there that ultimately turned their back on Donald Trump, but we see now he definitely has a strong team around him, okay? Leslie Penner says, oh my goodness, what a hypocrite. The Dems give our money away like it's nothing. Can you say U.S. aid? The Dems have stolen billions. Foreign aid money goes out and somehow lands in Congress offshore bank accounts. Oh my, that sounds terrible. Deborah says, I noticed we had, so we'll check though. Okay. All right. You guys are having a discussion. Panda says, now he's engaging in the pathetic, desperate cover-up. It's he protecting Bill Clinton. Is that what this is about? Some people say he's protecting Israel. Some say that there's so many high-level politicians and world leaders involved in the Epstein files that it would just be too much to release it to show that most men are scumbags. That's what they're saying, folks. I'm just the messenger. Nadine says, after traveling so much lately, Trump has noticed how he is treated as a guest. Time to update the White House. Trump friends are paying for it. After 250 years, nice to have pride in the country. Okay, we have a strong Trump supporter here. Okay, Holy says a lot of covering that he's doing. Money, money, money for him. Okay, so this is all about grifting. Richard says, what bull? It's not what you think. It is what you know and can prove. And that's a strong fact. That's indeed.
So, Annie, with the perspective that you have at this moment, with what you endured in your life, what do you say to Speaker Johnson?
Well, first, thank you, Aaron, for having me and for giving this story.
For those of you just coming in, this lady is one of Epstein's victims, and she's speaking up because she wants those files released like most of Americans.
The time that I think it deserves. I'd say to Speaker Johnson, please follow through with the promise that you made to me and others when we met with you, last month. You said that you wanted full transparency as efficiently as possible. You made a point to say that, your daughter had just been appointed to be a part of the investigation and that you were, fully committed to making sure we had transparency. And I think survivors have been very clear in standing with this act, that this is something that we support. So I'm baffled by this seeming turnaround and on all the different excuses for not swearing in the Congresswoman from Arizona. I think it's extremely frustrating for us to feel like political pawns in this game again.
Well, I mean, as you said, you met with him, and you actually had a conversation. I mean, it's got to be shocking to see this behavior after I assume was a very different personal conversation.
Yeah, I think it's just one in the latest baffling move by members of this administration and the government, saying that they really want to get to the bottom of this, and then their behavior is something very different from that. Is very contradictory. So it's confusing. It's disturbing.
Okay, so these ladies are definitely seeking justice. Who was it? MTG 619 says is also CNN. Yes, indeed. We kind of tap into all of the different legacy media, independent media. We try to give you a balanced view. Shell says United stands for the have and the have-nots. Okay. Sharon says IMO. We will never see the Epstein files. I think you have some truth there. We may never see the files. What's happening with all the strikes out in Venezuela? Over the weekend, I covered the two or the No Kings rather. And that's one of the big subjects was the military dropping bombs on the boats. And sometimes they're saying innocent civilians are losing their lives. What's really happening? In fact, I believe the leader of Colombia came out and said that one of the guys killed had been fishing for 30 years and they just took him out. He wasn't smuggling drugs or doing anything nefarious. Okay, so let's check it out.
Breaking news, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing the U.S. carried out a new military strike on an alleged drug trafficking boat, this time in the Pacific Ocean. Officials say the operation on Tuesday killed both people on board, but it marks the 8th known U.S. strike on an alleged drug smuggling vessel since the beginning of September, but the first in the Pacific. I want to talk more about all of this with retired Army Major Mike Lyons. So let's start there. What do you make of this apparent expansion of the military's campaign against alleged drug trafficking into the Eastern Pacific?
Omar, should come as no surprise that the administration finds a target out in the eastern part of the Pacific and goes after it. Two major highways coming from South America on the water to America. One is through the Caribbean, where we saw the initial strikes take place, but out on the other side of that.
Okay, Austin says, why would you strike random civilians? It make no sense. It's clearly drug boats. Okay, all right. Tim says, I've seen victims said that Trump was never with the victims, but the same cannot be said for Bill Clinton. Okay. All right. Ed says you can't be taken seriously if your source is CNN. Throughout the videos, probably we've only had about 5 CNN videos in about 2 weeks. So you just can't come in for just a little moment in time and come to a full idea of what's happening. I think is unfair. I would never do that to you. Calman says you should play Magic The Gathering. Okay. All right. Garrett says Pete specifically said they knew who the drug traffickers were. Okay. All right. George Coswell says anyone can see what they want. The facts are clear. It's an illegal action taken on innocent people. Very good point. Okay. MTG says Pokemon all the way. Blackground says, how is it clear that they are drug boats? And that's what the people want to know. All right. And myself included.
That's in the eastern part of the Pacific, up along the western side of the Mexican coastline is another highway there. Not a lot of islands to hide behind. It's probably a fast boat that had to try to maneuver out of it, but it's showing capability. This administration is always looking to project power, project deterrence.
Blackground TV says, why should we trust anything this government says? Okay. Tyler says CNN is not a source.
It said it was going after narco terrorists, so this should not come as any surprise that they've expanded this capability onto that eastern side of the Pacific, the other side of the highway.
Okay, well, we need to figure out what's happening with that. Something sounds off about it. Donald Trump has a unique spin on China. I thought this was a very educational video, something we should all see. So let's tap into it.
I'm wondering what China is thinking right now. Did Xi Jinping congratulate you about the success of the peace deal?
Well, I heard he did. There was a statement put up, but
because in the middle of
I'm
it
meeting
all,
with him.
he squeezed the U.S. by tightening the export controls on rare earth minerals.
He did, and I raised our tariffs to 100% on top of what they're already paying, which is far worse, far worse. We'll see what happens with China. I've always had a great relationship with them, as you know, but they're always looking for an edge. You know, they ripped off our country for years. We're going to meet in a couple of weeks. We're going to meet in South Korea, actually.
So he added another 100% on the tariffs. What's really happening? What do you guys think about that? Let's see if anybody's saying anything. Okay, we're still talking about CNN. Okay. Blackground says they are not CNN words. They're just reporting on the story. Thank you very much. That's a solid point. I appreciate that. Steven says, where's the Coast Guard? If they were supposed to be smuggling, arrest them, get the proof. Okay, very logical. Thank you very much. MTG says CNN doesn't report. They're fake news. I think all the news is subjective. I think could all be classified as fake in one way or another. So it just depends on where you sit. Some people who watch CNN, they say, oh, Fox is fake news. People that watch Fox says, oh, CNN is fake news. We could do that all day. But if we process and take in all, then you can come to a reasonable conclusion by using your own logic, right? That's just how we survive as individuals. Angela says if he wasn't in the files, he released them and be done with it. This illegitimate 34 felon PDF grabbing, mediocre, lying, wicked abomination of a president is the worst ever. Not too happy with Donald Trump, I would say. All right, Dave says all involved in the murder are guilty of that crime. So Trump and all the military personnel. Did you see where some individuals actually resigned? I guess perhaps they didn't want to be involved. But again, you have to take it with a grain of salt because the media puts their spin on it. So you never really know the full truth, but you learn enough that if you stick in it long enough, you start to figure some things out. Rose says drugs kill young and old Americans that could have been great lives. It's a crime to traffic drugs. Okay. All right. Jeremy Jones says Trump supporters are goofy. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your Avarian says Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. What is it that people don't understand? This is a spiritual all-out war. Okay. Sounds like someone tapping into the spiritual part of life. Okay. Thank you.
The President Xi and other people too, but we're going to meet. We have a separate meeting set up.
If you put that 100% tariff on top of what's in place already, you're talking about 157% tariff on
right.
China. Can that stand? I
No,
mean, what is that going to do to the economy?
It's not sustainable, but that's what the number is. It's probably not, it could stand, but they forced me to do that. I think we're going to do fine with China. I get along great with him. He's a very strong leader, a very, amazing man. And you look at what he's done and what he's, where his life is an amazing story. It's a story for a great movie. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to.
Hey, Helen, thank you very much. Helen says local news and CNN are censored. Okay. Botnan Ben says the government destroyed files. Okay. All right. From the women in Sweden. Okay. Blackground TV says using fake news makes you unserious. Okay. That's your opinion. I appreciate it, but we're going to continue to look at it all.
Have a fair deal. It's got to be fair. And you cover it as well as anybody that's ever covered this subject. It's a very complex subject, but China has ripped us off from day one. And, Richard Nixon, he allowed this to happen. He was the one, he opened China, and I said, is that good or bad? You tell me. He unleashed it. And we have a very strong adversary, and they only respect strength.
Mr. President, you came into office with a real vision. You wanted supply chains in America.
Yeah.
On the rare earth minerals thing, I know that there are rare earth minerals, but it's the refining of the minerals that China has a lock on. How did we get here? I mean, for 10 years, you've been attacked by your enemies, political enemies, the Democrats, who've tried to take you down for 10 years, Russia, 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 and yet all this time, China has been eating our lunch.
Yeah.
Now, 90% of the pharmaceuticals that we need, underlying components.
Okay, she says China has been eating our lunch. Wow. Okay, Black Brown TV says no using the term fake news, not the news you present. Okay, Garrett says the tariffs are a great negotiating tool, which has been shown to help Americans. Over 300 billion taken in. Robert says because he's an idiot. Okay, WCW says he's an idiot too. Okay, MTG says Angela, put the pipe down. Okay, she's smoking something, you think. Okay, Crystal says the only one ripping off America is you, Trump, and your wealthy sycophants. Okay, Old Guy Gamer says release the Epstein files. Okay.
Are made in China.
It's all coming back.
So how did we get here?
It's all coming back.
Well, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take to get the supply chains?
The pharmaceuticals are coming back already. again, tariffs. So essentially, I'm putting tariffs on pharmaceuticals unless they're made here. They're all coming back. Chips, I put big tariffs on chips unless they're made here. There's no tariff if they make them here. And all those companies are coming back from Taiwan. They're coming back from all over the world. And they're coming back fast. You know better than anybody else, $17 trillion. It could be $20 trillion by the end of the first year, my first year.
Investment in America.
Investing in America, $20 trillion. No country's ever done anywhere even near that, like a fraction of that. Biden did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. I did 20 trillion. We're going to do over 17 trillion in 8 months. By the time we end, we could do over $20 trillion. There's never, in China, no matter where you go, there's never been anything like it. We are building up something that's unbelievable. And a big part of that are the tariffs, because they don't want to have to pay the tariffs because it's so unsustainable that they come and build the pharmaceuticals and the chips and all of the things. They're coming into the United States and they're building them. It's a miracle what's happening. We are building the greatest country in the world, economically, greater than we've ever been before. But we do have a big decision, and that decision is coming up in the Supreme Court. And again, this is being fought by radical left lunatics that don't even know what they're doing, and people that represent.
Okay, we have boots on the ground experience here I want to share. Jeremy says, that's weird. I actually work in the pharmaceutical industry. A lot of people are being laid off. Okay, so thank you for sharing the hands-on experience, and hadn't heard that so many are being laid off in that industry. Angela says, I cited the reference, read a book sometimes. Okay, all right, not sure the background of that. Dave says Trump is acting like he can do anything. Okay, Twin says, how come the D-rats did not ask Obama or Biden to release the Epstein files? Great question.
Foreign countries that have taken advantage of us for years. You know, tariffs have been used against the United States for years. And it would always bother me so much. I'd look and I'd say, how can they allow this to happen to our country? We lost 55% of our automobile business because of the fact we didn't use tariffs. Had we used tariffs, we wouldn't have lost anything.
What is your backup plan should the Supreme Court decision go against you on the tariffs and the emergency
Well, I'll have to figure something out. I don't want to even think about it. We're doing so well to think about it. You know, if that happened, we'd have to pay back money. So if anything would happen with that, that would mean they're allowed to use tariffs and we're not. If they took away, this is national security, if they took away tariffs, then they've taken away our national security.
Well, you've also been monetizing the balance sheet, and you took a 10% stake in Intel.
That's
and
right.
You're taking a stake in Mountain Pass, MP. I mean,
Do you know that Intel, I think we're up $40 billion since I made the deal. We made a big deal.
He's making a lot of deals, right? Are you guys able to look at Donald Trump and says that's good and that's bad? Or is it, depending on if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you say, oh, he's bad, 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 or it's all good, good, good. I think therein lies the danger when you can't be balanced, right? Barbara says we need housing. Paul says if Trump is on the Epstein files, why didn't for Biden's it's moving so fast, release it, Democrats? Okay, how do I slow this down? We're gonna have to figure this out today. Okay, MTG says we need affordable housing. Okay, Blackground TV says they didn't exist. Okay, John says I'm buying land cheap in Argentina now before it goes up. Okay, all right. Okay, a lot of people calling Donald Trump a chump. Okay, Deborah says hopefully we won't arrest their workers that come to train Americans. Okay, good point. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't do it for myself. I did it. They came in to see me, and I said, you know what? I think the United States should own 10% of your company. And they gave me 10%. And you know what? It's been good for them, too. Their stock has gone up so much that they end up making a fortune. But we made $30 or $40 billion on that deal. The same thing with Mountain Pass. But in that case, it's because we want to get the rare earth refined.
Yeah, I mean, it was a national security emergency. Or are you looking to take stakes in other companies for other reasons?
Well, I'll give you an example. In Alaska, they have a road that we just approved, right? That was a big deal.
Paul says EBT Queens gone wild. Okay, C-Dub, thank you. Thank you. Says the Trump regime is preparing Argentina so they can flee their accountability. Okay, they want to take a run for the border. John says sarcasm. Trump is propping it up for some reason. Okay, all right. Gloria says, why are no one calling Trump lies out? Biden and Obama are no longer presidents. Okay.
They've been trying to get it done for, like forever. They can never get it done. And it's a very simple deal. So here comes the road. And at the end of the road is vast wealth that's owned by big companies, vast wealth, minerals. And I said, they came in with an agreement allowing the road to be built, environmentally, everything else, very complicated. We're going to build bridges. I said, so what are we getting out of it? Sir, you're getting minerals. I know, but we're opening up this part of the world that you were unable to even get to except by helicopter. We're building a massive road. They're building it. We're making it possible to build.
Okay, Angela says, and again, we have to get these comments, says 30 or 40 billion, which is it? Big difference. Okay. All right. Paul says MAGA back in business. Okay. John says taxpayers paying $230 million for punitive damages. AIG MedSpa, thank you for being here today. For always coming through religiously. Says food stamp champ Brett Favre. Okay. Sick Ren, thank you. Says blame the Zionist Jews for everything. In fact, I don't even think we could say the J word on YouTube without being penalized for that. Paul says make Kamala sober again. Okay, Jack Sparrow says, when can we invade Canada? A lot of Americans want to see that happen. Okay. Deborah says we froze over here. Okay, what does that mean? Did your computer freeze or are you freezing? C-Dub says his word salad is hard to follow. Okay, Jack Sparrow says, I'm out of maple syrup. Okay, Corey Smith, oh, we might be related, says we own it. America bought it from Russia for $7 million. Why not capitalize on it? Okay. Twin says facts. Epstein files were created as a part of 2 criminal investigations into Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking activities, which began in the early 2000s and continued until his death in 2019. Jack Sparrow says, I'm a super fan of Israel. Okay.
Build. I said, so if we're making it possible to build, we should get a percentage of the things that are taken out. And my people looked at me and said, yeah, I never thought of that. I thought of that because you have to see this. Unbelievable wealth, unobtainable, can't get, we make it easily available. We're building a gravel, massive, hundreds of miles long, a gravel road into this incredible place of rare earth. And I said, we should own a part of that company. And then I do that and people criticize me. That's not the American way. It is actually the American way. And our country, we're going to be the richest country in the world. We just have to go this way. And all we need is a series of smart presidents. We can't have people like Biden or Kamala, people like that, low IQ people. We need smart presidents. And if we have smart presidents, the United States will be the richest country ever in history.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to see Donald Trump as president for the next 10 years? Forget the rules, right? Forget the law. Would you like to see him hold the office? Tell us what you think. I bet you there's some that do feel that way. Here's the story about Diddy. We're going to go through it real quick here. Tell us what you think. Do you think he really was stabbed or what have you?
Threatened in prison by an inmate. It is now being reported that an inmate that is housed with Diddy in the MDC has held a shiv to his neck. And this isn't the first time that we are hearing Diddy say that he was threatened by an inmate.
Okay, what do you guys think? Do you think Diddy's in jail getting roughhoused, or do you think this is just ammunition to try to get him out of jail? Like a get out of jail free card. First America USA says, hell no. We won't go. Okay, Black Round TV says no. Starla the Wolf says 6-7. Okay, Rich says Trump for third term. Yes. Okay, they want to see him getting that third term. Okay, all right. I get it. I see it. Okay, the man says hell no. He shouldn't be there now. Okay, all right. People are still calling Donald Trump a felon. We have a felon president. How could that be? Paul says forever. Okay, a lot of people feel that way. They want Trump there forever. First Amendment says convicted felon Donald J. Trump will destroy the environment for possibility of something. Cost of his ballroom. The people in this room are cray. No one is on topic. Peace out. Humans will destroy the earth. Okay, sorry you feel that way, First Amendment, but it's what it is. Okay, Elizabeth says, watching the great empire falling is very sad. I do understand it's a part of life, and every great empire must fall, but we are going down very hard, going down head first, right, Elizabeth? And you make a solid point. It seems that, but some people say, hey, we're headed to the promised land, and we're going to get leeks and watermelons when we get there. And some say they're going to dance in the golden clouds, right? Abraham says the wealth of the poor shall be at the hands of the rich. Try hard not to worry. Okay, try not to be anxious about tomorrow, because tomorrow will come with its own set of problems, right? That's what we think, right? So let's get back to Diddy. Let's see what happened to him. Did he really get roughhoused?
With a shift. So I'm not even sure if I believe it. But now we're hearing of the second attack that Diddy is facing in the MDC from his best friend Charlucci. A lot of people will remember him from the Diddy trial, where he was caught outside a lot of the times wearing a Free Pup t-shirt. He was always there to support Diddy. Now,
guys, I was at Diddy's trial every day. I will be also at Carmelo Anthony's trial, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to see what happens. Also, Luigi Mangione, I spoke with his attorney, and I'm full speed ahead. Can't wait to check it out.
Now, Diddy's best friend is alleging that an inmate snuck into his room while he was sleeping and held a shiv to his neck. He then claimed that Diddy woke up, but he doesn't know if Diddy fought off this inmate or if the guard stepped in. Diddy's friend Charlucci is claiming that he believes that this inmate was just trying to intimidate Diddy, because he said if he wanted to, he could have harmed him. And this is not the first time that we are hearing that Diddy was allegedly attacked by inmates. Diddy had submitted a letter to the judge before his sentencing hearing where he was claiming that he was attacked by an inmate.
So tell us what you think. Do you want Diddy out? Are you concerned about his well-being and you want him out of jail? What do you think, folks? Elizabeth says lies. Elizabeth, I'm with you on this one. Paul says Diddy-crats. Now that's very creative. They should make a shirt called Diddy-crats. That would be good. But you couldn't wear that Diddy-crats shirt if Donald Trump's pardons him, right? Rich says likely not true story. Gloria says Trump is a felon and a liar, folks. Okay. Lavender Smile says yes, free Diddy. Okay. Background TV says no dog in the fight. Could I say could not care less, right? All right. Paul says liberal Democrats, have you figured out what a woman is yet? Because you still don't know what a king is either. Okay. All right. You're preaching. Good point. I love the logic. Tasman says all of his convictions have been overturned under appeals court. He only has one more left to go. Some will go all the way to the Supreme Court. Okay.
With the shiv for wanting to sit in the chair that Diddy was sitting in. And in this document, Diddy was basically saying this is one way that you could tell that he is a changed man since he spent time in the MDC, because he said usually he would have fought back against this inmate with violence, but he said he didn't, and he de-escalated the situation. Then it was also brought up in sentencing, and the way it was brought up in sentencing sounded totally different than what the document.
In the closing arguments for Diddy's trial, right, the prosecutor says when it came to women, Diddy would often beat them. When it came to men, he perhaps wasn't strong enough or whatever. He used weapons, okay? So when she said that, it reminded me of what I heard in court.
Said about this situation, which I'm not gonna lie is what makes me skeptical and wonder if this situation really even happened at all. We don't know how recent this attack was with Diddy sleeping, but a lot of people are confusing the two incidents. But I can tell you that there was allegedly more than one.
Okay, Deborah says we have a malfunction today. Yes, we have quite a few of those today, Deborah. Yes, indeed. Deborah says the last 8 posts, all me, Deborah. Okay, Matthew says he put himself in there. It's called consequences, although he will still be out by late summer, early next fall. Okay. Paul says free Diddy too. The electric chair. Oh, my. Elizabeth says, how's the prisoner got inside the room when the door locked by 9 in the middle of the night? Come on. Okay, good point. Paul says, Diddy get charged with RICO. Diddy got charged with FRICO. All right, that's a good point. Good job.
According to Diddy himself. But then again, it is jail. It is that type of environment. So if this really did happen, I really can't say I'm surprised. Diddy's friend Charlucci said in this interview that he gave to the Daily Mail about this incident that he believed that this happened because of Diddy's charges. That's because inmates do not like other inmates that have the type of charges that Diddy has. And I'm sure a lot of those inmates probably saw that viral clip of Diddy beating Cassie on CNN. I'm not gonna.
Did you guys see the video of Diddy beating Cassie? How many of you guys saw that? What did you think? They played it in court on the first day, I'd say at least 7 or 8 times.
I find the timing of this article about Diddy allegedly being attacked by an inmate again a little suspicious. That's because TMZ put out an article that Donald Trump was thinking about pardoning Diddy this week. Then the White House just came out and was refuting that, saying that this was a flat out lie. This could be a situation that actually happened because that is the environment that you are in. It's not a luxury getaway. Also, it could be a bunch of BS because we have seen Diddy crying about being in jail since before.
All right, Jesse saw the video. It was gross. Okay, Virginia says horrified. Guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel. We do this at lunch. We also have a lot of great shows on the way for you. A lot of great interviews as well.
This trial actually even started. According to Diddy and according to Diddy's best friend, now Diddy has been threatened by inmates on 2 separate occasions. At this point, I guess all we can say is if that happened, you must be pretty dang lucky for both of them to back down. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's see. We have 2 more stories to go, and we'll be out for the day. Today, I've been covering this Cato Scott case, and finally, they charged the guy with unalivement, the M word. We won't say it on YouTube due to policy. But let's see the new developments in this case.
Now at 11, the big story on Action News is the chilling new details released in the death of Cato Scott. It has been ruled a homicide, and police have revealed new evidence of her interactions with the man who's now charged in her murder. But we still don't know how she died. All of this as the community gathered this evening demanding answers and action. Reporter Brianna Smith live from East Mountain area tonight where that meeting took place. Brianna.
Okay, before we kick that off, let's see. Matthew says, yeah, seen the video, wondering why he ain't protecting himself from them threats with that same energy. Right. What's really going on?
Rick, nearly every church pew was filled with residents, law enforcement, and local and state leaders, and they credit Cato Scott for bringing them together. But this tragedy has left many residents concerned about public safety and vacant properties.
As you all know, Cato's killer was charged today.
21-year-old Keon King is now charged with the murder of 23-year-old Cato Scott. But Philadelphia Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel announced at a community meeting in East Mount Airy the investigation is far from over.
We continue to pursue anyone who helped, who concealed, who participated in this act.
Court documents reveal on October 4th, King and...
Yeah, 21 years old. What business does he have out here unaliving somebody? You know, this is crazy. Like, what is really going on with these people.
Scott exchanged text messages. That night, police say King called Scott 12 times within about 45 minutes. Shortly after, he picked Scott up from her job in a stolen Hyundai Accent. Just minutes later, Scott's phone went offline. Detectives say that vehicle remained parked at Albury Recreation Center. On October 5th, court records show King's gold Toyota Camry was at the rec center and 2 people exited the vehicle. Hours later, 2 individuals appeared to take a large object consistent with a body out of the Hyundai. Detectives later located Scott's remains near that area.
She touched the hearts of many people.
So apparently there's another individual involved helping him move the body. So we're trying to figure out who is that individual and will they be arrested soon?
Including myself.
Residents expressed their public safety concerns, including the dangers of vacant school district properties like Ada Lewis Middle School. The superintendent says their team is reviewing all of them and will recommend ideas this winter,
so that they can be appropriately repurposed for the community's benefit.
Now, that's a very good point. I'm telling you, Paul is definitely hitting some good points here. Paul says, what kind of medicine was he on? That's a question that will not be asked. Like, what was he on? What I will say is that the young girls in the neighborhood that lived near the young lady that lost her life, they said that this guy that we saw here, he was a neighborhood pharmacist. In other words, he was a drug pusher. So he was out here selling drugs and he took out someone that's in that environment. So it's a tough situation. I see the wisdom as to why the United States, namely even the president, you can give him a point for that, trying to get a handle on this drug situation. Paul says, this is a science experiment that nobody signed up for. Okay, yes, indeed. GMA says no medicine. That's for sure. Drugs, perhaps. Okay, all right. Deborah says, my goodness. Blackground TV says, wow, such a sad story. Okay, yes, indeed.
And we look forward to bringing those forward to the Board of Education.
Local leaders remind neighbors it takes a village.
Each and every one of us need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
We stand together, law enforcement, leadership, and the community, in the pursuit of justice and peace and healing. Nothing can stop us.
And residents say they're also concerned about the youth. They want students to be educated about harassment, violence, and other dangerous situations so they know how to react and remain safe. Live in East Mount Airy, Brianna Smith, Channel 6 Action.
Okay, definitely. We want to remain safe, folks. So one last story we're going to cover, that's Stephen A. Smith. I covered it the other day. We talked about how he was criticizing Jasmine Crockett. Well, he issued an apology, so let's check him out. Tell me if you think he's sincere.
You could spend all night checking every
And we got a
receipt and coding
commercial.
every expense. Or you could let Ramp do it. Close the books without the busy work. Ramp. Love finance.
But I'm going to be me. I'm going to call it like I see it. I can look Jasmine Crockett in the face and say, I'm sorry for any kind of noise I caused in your direction. Because she is accomplished and she is smart and she does have an incredible challenge working in this political climate on Capitol Hill. I got it.
Okay, so he had criticized her for the way she talked, but he's come forward to change his tune on it, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, so there you have it, folks. That's some of the news that we covered today. A lot of people are not happy with CNN and any coverage associated with that, so we'll unfortunately we're going to keep sharing the news from all different sources, and that's how we come to a reasonable conclusion. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We had a lot of new names that I hadn't seen before, but the format has changed, and now the show is streaming on television and other horizontal platforms, so that makes sense. But also, we're able to stream directly on cell phones, which is that's where we get the bulk of our viewership from. I want to thank Eric for giving us a great story at the outset of this show. It's always great when you guys participate and help me find what's pressing in the media, those different hot topics, folks. I did want to touch on one thing before I close out. The other day, I covered how Don Lemon took on a lot of heat because basically within his show, they were talking about how ICE is coming to people's doors. They pull up on your car, whatever way they're trying to, ascertain someone, apprehend someone or whatever. And so he said, basically, you have, and Calvin Johnson, the criminal defense attorney, went through it. Different states have different stand your ground rules, but Don Lemon said you have a right to respond with force, right? Well, MAGA did not like what he was saying, and so they basically came after him saying, listen, you can't be out here promoting violence, especially violence on ICE. Well, I saw an article, I'll go over it tomorrow, where an individual actually promoted that down south, and they locked him up. They locked him up for doing it. So I guess you have to be very careful what you're saying. Apparently, Don Lemon did not cross the line, but this guy did, so much so that they locked his butt up. And I imagine that we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. When I'm out in the street, I see the resistance. A lot of people are mentioning and they want to, go to war with their fellow Americans, right? So, you have to take these things to heart because you never know what people are thinking and how they may respond, and you don't want to be caught off guard. So stay alert, stay focused, especially in the public. George Zimmerman's here. George says it won't matter. The last decade showed never been the need to them. Okay. Thank you for your points. Okay. So thank you guys for tuning in today. We went over a little bit for the lunch hour, but we covered some good points, especially I'm still shocked about whether or not the Department of Justice is going to give Donald Trump $230 million. Sharice, nice to see you. Nice to have you here. Dwayne, thank you. Good show. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And always, even though we cover so many different sources, you have your own walk in life, you have your own experience, and you're able to process and put together the totality of what you're processing so that you can make good decisions in life. So as independent news, we just try to mix it up and we try to tell you what's being presented, especially here in our country, but we watch the world, we look at different stories and headlines throughout the entire world. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow at noon. We have other videos coming out today that I think you will find to be quite intriguing. Take a moment to go check out some of the short videos and some of the other videos as we keep bringing you stories of clarification. Yesterday, I released a video. I'm pretty sure you saw the viral video of the pastor asking for $1,000. A lot of people didn't like what they saw, but then I put out the entire video. Whether you still agree that he should have been asking for $1,000 from each person, at least it shows you the context of the story and help you to understand the bigger picture and not just a little snippet to come to your conclusion. So thank you, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, enjoy.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beat as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure United we stand in love's pure might.